Okay, well today we're going to be talking about 7.1, which is 0 and negative exponents. Our objective for today is going to be to simplify exponents involving 0 and negative exponents. Okay, and our standard is A1.4.1, okay, which is going to be using the law of exponents. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the 0 and negative exponents and what it is. So first off, any number raised to a 0 power will equal 1. Okay, so you got to make sure that anything raised to 0th power is going to be 1. Now, one little trick to this particular problem is you have to make sure what that is being raised. So like if I had 2 times, let's say 4 raised to 0th power, 4 is the only thing being raised to that 0th power. So therefore, 4 to the 0 becomes 1, but you still have times 2. So therefore, this problem would be 2. Okay, and then the other thing you can't have is we can't have 0 raised to the 0. Okay, that part can't happen. Okay, so the second one is a negative exponent. A negative exponent really is just kind of what we see as being an inverse. It's any number raised to a negative power is equal to its reciprocal. So as you can see down here, we have a to the negative n is really 1 over a to the positive n. Now that's the exponent is negative, it takes it to the bottom. So for example, if I had 2 to the negative second, it will become 1 over 2 squared, which then simplifies down to 1/4. Now if I would have had negative 2 to the second, that's just going to come out as negative 4, because the negative is with the 2 and not the negative exponent. Okay, so it's with this base and not the exponent. So you have to make sure that it's the negative exponent. That's what takes it down. Okay, and only moves down what is to the negative exponent, and we'll get more on that as we go through. Okay, so we look at the first problem here. What is the simplified form of each expression? So we have first the 9 to the negative second. So as I look at that problem, I see a negative exponent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 1 over 9 to the positive second. And then anytime we can simplify, we want to go ahead and simplify. I know 9 squared is 81. Okay. And part B, I have negative 3.6 to the 0th power. So now that I see that it has a 0, I know automatically this answer is going to be 1. Now the negative is included inside parentheses, so it's a positive 1. Okay, now to give you another example here, you can write this down. If I would have made this negative 3.6 to the 0th power, the negative is now not included, so the negative comes straight down, but 3.6 is raised to the 0th power, which makes that 1. Okay, so that's why we need to really focus on putting parentheses on. And I know I harp on that in class, but you need to make sure you have parentheses. Okay, so example 2 here, I want you to do on your own. Work those 3 problems out. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put answers in the back of the slides here. So when we get done, you'll have answers at the back to check your work. Okay, so let's look at problem number 2. Simplifying exponent expression. So what is the simplified form of each expression? So this seems fairly simple, but a lot of students kind of confused on this. Okay, first thing you need to know is that this 5 is being raised to the 1st power, nothing else. Okay, the A is being raised to the 3rd, and the B is being raised to the negative 2nd. So I see a negative exponent, but you have to understand when I see a negative exponent, I only need to move to the bottom or even bring up the negative exponent, that the number that is being raised to that negative exponent. So for example, 5 to the 1st, that's just 5 to the 1st. So we leave that where it's at. A cubed, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the B to the negative 2nd we don't like. So we're going to move this to the bottom. Now when I say to the bottom, you have to remember as well, everything's a fraction. So even though this is 5 to the first, it's over 1. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this b to the bottom of that fraction that's right here. Okay, a to the third is the same thing. It's really over 1, so together it's all over 1. So the b just goes to the bottom there. Since there's nothing else to do in this particular problem, you're done. If we look at problem B here, we have a negative exponent. Now the exponent's in the bottom, so we don't like that either. So what we're going to do is, if I can take it to the bottom, then why can't I bring it up to the top? So it makes a lot of sense that what I can do is I can change this and bring this power to the top and make the exponent positive. So make sure you make it positive. Now again, there's a 1 on top. So I bring it to the top and there's my answer. Okay, and it would still be over 1. So there's always a fraction. Say there was another number up here, then that number would be here. So let's say this was 12. So this is a different example. So say that's 12. Well, then this would become 12x to the 5th. Okay, that's the only difference in that. Okay, so again, here's a got it. Check your work at the end of the slides here.